Welcome to Own It, the podcast where we talk to real estate thought leaders about embracing your strengths, taking your career to new heights, and owning your future. I'm Hillary Saunders, co-founder and chief broker officer at Side, joined today by my exquisite co-host, Spencer Kroll.
Wow, I'm not lovely today. Hello, Hillary, and you are excellent as always.
See, I do this on purpose, I swear. A couple things for you, Spencer. Ready?
Yeah.
When was the last time you were in Portland, Oregon?
Oh, I'm going to say it was 6 years ago. I had those voodoo donuts.
Yes.
Yeah, they were good.
Such a good one. Such a good one. But you know what's better than voodoo donuts?
Well, I'm going to say a lot of things, but go ahead.
Try an amazing human who loves chickens, has her own extremely funny show between two figs, i.e. between two ferns, and has grown her company, Hustle and Heart, from a couple top producers to an amazing group of 7 who just knock it out of the park, who are ranked on Real Trends Best, who just got named to the top 30 in Portland Metro. And she's also a cover girl. So beat that, Spencer.
I cannot beat that. Voodoo donuts be gone. Let's go. Who is this person, Hillary?
This wonderful human is Emily Corning. Welcome to our podcast, Emily.
Thank you. Hi.
Hello. You didn't know what you were getting into when you signed up for this, did you?
Sure didn't. But this is the year of yes for me, so here I am.
Ooh.
I love it. I love it. Well, let's dive in immediately and find out, where did Hustle and Heart come from? Because I know this is a massive passion of yours and you have it tattooed on your body and have just crushed it. So what is the inspiration behind Hustle and Heart?
Oh gosh, I think back when I got about a year and a half into being a licensed agent, I was trying to figure out how to differentiate myself from everybody else in the world of real estate, because there's a lot of agents out there. And I sought a designer to help brand me and not brand me, although I am branded, but to help me design a logo. And Hustle and Heart just always resonated with me. I think for me, I consider myself a sensitive bulldog. I am fierce when I need to be, but I'm also very heart-led. So it was an easy kind of slogan for me to relate to. And I immediately trademarked it about 6 years ago. And then I always had this vision that down the road, when I had my own company, it would be part of that company. So it was kind of a serendipitous ease into the name.
I think that's beyond smart, first of all, to trademark. That's a little tidbit for people who are actually going out and doing some brand development and creating something they want to have lasting impact, which is trademark. So kudos to you for that.
Thanks.
I know you do wear your heart on your sleeve. We've had many an opportunity to chat and spend some time together. And one of the unique things that I find that resonates extremely comes off of you to not just your company, to your other agents that work for you, but also your clients. How do you get clients, or how do you find clients? Because I know it's not traditional.
Yeah, I have built the business by referral. Everywhere I've gone prior to real estate, I've been a top performer. And so I think when I got into real estate, it was an easy thing for my sphere to understand and know that I'd be good at without having to watch me prove it, essentially. So right from out of the gate, I had people who were reaching out to have me help them and guide them on their journey of buying or selling. And I've never wanted to stray from that referral business. That's how you get people that you're going to love working with and not want to punch in the face when you're done. And so I think for me, I want to stay true to what I know has been successful in my path. And I feel like the referral piece is really important to keep that going and building it the way I want to, which is organically.
You said something earlier. You said that you are heart-led, right? Which I wrote it down, and it looks like heartled to me. Kind of a strange.
She's not a heartlet.
No, no, not heartlet. No, but I mean, like, it seems like, she like she was heartled or something. Anyway, it was an interesting verb. I'm going to try to create this word. But anyway, but back to the actual podcast. So you, when you're saying you're heart-led, and you're saying that you were always a top performer in the stuff that you did before, were you heart-led back then, or was that a change that you brought into real estate?
No, always. I mean, I started out at Nordstrom right out of high school. I didn't go to college, knew it wasn't for me. And I think that's where I got my really incredible foundation of just service and providing a level of service that people will come back for. And just caring for people. And I think that kind of took me through my multiple careers. I think I had 4 before I got into real estate. But, I spent time in the tanning industry, managing a franchise of tanning salons where I was in charge of hiring, firing, all that. So that really helped build kind of how I operate with my team, but also watching my dad and my grandpa run a business in California. They owned a chain of sporting goods stores in the Bay Area. And so having an understanding of how you treat people to keep them for a long time, I think that was also really important with developing kind of my style with management.
Did you develop a lot of repeat clients at Nordstrom?
Yeah.
Yeah, That's wonderful because that's as you know, that's like a crucible there. People are in a bad mood or whatever. You have to turn their day around. And Nordstrom, of course, known for its customer service.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool.
I love it. What about your entrepreneurial spirit? Because I know that you have this incredible drive of excellence and really putting your heart and soul, obviously, into everything that you're doing. What has been your entrepreneurial journey from working for others and then getting to be able to curate your own environment?
I think everything I've done, I've never been satisfied with just stopping. I've always wanted to keep climbing and get as high as I can, whether it's rankings for sales, whether it's management. Like I've always prided myself in wanting to just be the best I can be. And it wasn't, I'm competitive, sure, but it's also just a fire inside me. So I think, everything I did kind of led me to this perfect timing to get into the industry, which was in January of 2016. Prior to that, I was doing B2B sales for merchant services at Wells Fargo, and I felt like a bottom feeder. But it taught me to have some thick skin. And so I think having, my path too started with Nordstrom to the tanning industry to then I did radio advertising. Like each thing kind of led me to another career that was more independent from the last, if that makes sense. And I had my kids, my youngest is almost 11. So I had them early on. So I kind of allowed me when I got into real estate to really have the freedom to grow it and to be as big or as little as I want it to be.
But you've grown Hustle and Heart so quickly, it feels like, that your husband even participates too, right? You recruited him into the business?
Yeah. Yeah, for a while I called him the Wizard of Oz because he was behind the scenes doing all of our videography. And when I launched the company, it was time to bring him in as part of the dream team. And he's our creative director, and he's the man behind all the videos between filming and editing and making sure the brand is in check with what we put out there. He wears a lot of hats, just like I do.
Yeah, my question for you, you were talking about how you're always striving to be the best and all that, and I think it fits into what you're just talking about. Do you use metrics at all? Do you write down things? Do you have your actual numbers that you're doing and you're trying to beat those numbers each time, or how do you judge yourself?
No, I think, I'm famous for saying that I don't know how I do what I do, I just do it. And I think, and it's not very helpful, but for people when they ask me kind of how I do things, but for me, it's, I feel like I'm only as good as the last year I had. And so I think I am continually trying to have better years, better transactions, better interactions, better connections. I'm just always trying to be better, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It does. How do you turn that into leadership? Because you not just have your team at Hustle and Heart, but you also have top producers who are their own kind of ships within Hustle and Heart. How do you lead in those different arenas?
I have grown my business over the years via relationships. So just like I've grown with clients by referral, like the people I've brought into my business have been in my sphere, whether they're friends, whether I've known them through a friend. Like I've been really intentional with who I bring in. And so it makes the leadership part, it's hard, challenging and easier. I like to have regular heart-to-hearts with people where we just kind of can sit down and be really open and have dialogue and talk about challenges and what needs to change and what doesn't. And I think a lot of times there's tears involved, but I'm also a feeler by nature, so I'm okay with that. I think, but just allowing to have the space for people to voice what they're feeling, because if you don't do that, that's where you get into the tricky area, people being unhappy and just leaving. And I think also taking care of my people, like we do things as a team, as a company, we do events, we do client parties multiple times, like we're always interacting together as a team. So we feel like we're just one piece, one unit versus like separate, entities.
Do you ever need to get away from them? I don't mean that. I don't mean that in a negative way.
I think it's the opposite. I think I'm the one who's like, wait, where are you going? You're going on a trip? Like,
bring me with you.
I mean, for me, like I travel. We just went to Disney World for 2 weeks, and it was challenging to be away from the business because I care so much. But I also know that I need to have that time to check out and be with my family. And in the words of Brad Paisley, you only get so many summers. So, but I think for me, it's different in that I want to be surrounded by the people I'm surrounded by. Like I crave that. And so I think for them, they're probably like, whoa, like I need a little space.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's important to work with people you enjoy working with, and one day I'll find an atmosphere like that. But until then,
wonderful,
I know. In all seriousness, no, I love but I get it. I mean, I love the people that I work with. It's the same sort of thing. One follow up there, because you were saying that you kind of get an emotional connection with them. So how do you insulate yourself? If you're coaching somebody or something like that, how do you insulate yourself from getting dragged into their, I'll use a Yiddish word, mishigas, their craziness?
That has been an ongoing challenge for me, because while I fight for my clients, I want to fight for my people too. So there have been times where I've had to rope back my reactions with other agents who are dealing with people on my team specifically. The mama bear comes out. And I think I did a lot of maturing, honestly, over the last 7.5 years in real estate, where I had to learn some hard lessons about reacting versus being more thoughtful about how I speak to people. So I think that I'll never be perfect, but I believe that as long as I lead with my heart in conversations and I come from a place of compassion and understanding, that I can't go wrong.
How did you work from being a solo agent prior to starting Hustle and Heart to then having this company that you're running, but now you just said you were able to take 2 weeks off at Disney, and that sounds amazing. Yeah. But wasn't it? How did you work through that inner turmoil of like wanting to be in the business and then being able to let go and let the business run itself?
That was quite the process. I mean, 2 years in-ish, hired my first assistant, Jenny, and she, I did it before I thought I was really ready, but I had people telling me you're producing a lot, like you need help. And I had no CRM at that point. I was just flying by the seat of my pants, which is kind of true Emily style. And so I think Jenny was with me for a little 2.5 years. And we're best friends. Like she's my bestie. She really taught me a lot about being able to trust and let go. And when she moved on to work in a corporate role for another real estate company, I then brought in my first team member, Danielle. And I think I've slowly kind of learned to let go of tasks and things that, like what's the best use of my time? And realizing it's not probably driving around delivering a pot buy or, destaging a home. Like there's better use of my time to quote unquote rainmake. So I think that was a big part of kind of the learning process, is what can I delegate and let go of, but still feel like I have some say in and some control over.
I hear the term pop by, so I'm assuming that you coach with people, right? I think I know who your coach is on that one. Have you had a lot of coaches throughout your career, not just in real estate, but anything else?
I've never had a business coach. I did, I've gone to a Buffini conference. I used a CRM before, utilizing Follow Up Boss. Travis on my team is also the coach for the company. So I do talk to him periodically, but I have had a life coach for the last almost 3 years. And that really was instrumental in a lot of, I think, the entrepreneurship part of wanting to start my own company and kind of seeing that potential. And my own health journey. I've lost 60 pounds in the last 2 years. I got a breast reduction. I did this physical transformation along with an internal transformation.
How did you decide, or what prompted you decide to put Emily first so that way you could show up for your family and the rest of your community?
Oh, I had a really severe burnout 3 years into my career, where I was I had to get on medication because I was just like a mood stabilizer because I was in tears all the time. I was just it was a big growing pain for me. And so I think for me, just knowing, working through that and knowing, and I had a mentor too at that time, Mike Hassan, who was the owner of the Hassan Company, which is where I used to be at, no longer around. He was an incredible man and he mentored me through, didn't have to, I was one of 200 agents at the company, but I think hearing him just tell me you need to get up, move your body, do things for you, spend time with your kids, you got to fill your cup before you can fill other people's. And so that really helped me get in the headspace of if I'm not at my best, I can't be doing my best.
Yeah, you're kind of self-directed though. I mean, it seems like you kind of find your way and that you kind of set your own pace. You're not, I mean, so do you have metrics planned? You were saying you didn't have a CRM, you were going by the seat of your pants and everything like that. What about now? And you have a team that you're supporting. Have you changed your systems?
Yeah, now we've got Follow Up Boss. We have infrastructure. I have a director of operations. I have a director of business development. I have a business manager. I have all these things that are helping me put the right people in place for the foundation, or we have a foundation right now that we're building upon. So I think I've learned that it's important to slow down, look at the numbers, which I do now. I'm more in tune with where the finances are, where we're spending money, budgets, all that, where if you had asked me 2 years ago, I'd have been fuck a budget. What's that? I don't want to be told how to spend my money. So, I think there's been a lot of maturing and growing with starting my own company too.
You, going back to your sphere of influence, because I think it's very interesting, especially in, let's call it nowadays, when a lot of people are paying for online lead gen, they're doing a lot of social media, and a lot of clients are coming from kind of those arenas. And in a changing market, you have a very curated way of gaining listings when you're up against, say, another top producer in your area, and you are successful in constantly getting top commission rates. So how do you do that, and how do you teach the rest of your team to also be so confident?
The biggest thing I think is I lead with value. So right from the get-go, from the initial meeting, there's already that level of trust with them because it was a referral from someone who knows me or has worked with me. But before I even get a listing contract signed, I'm asking what I can do to help them. Do you need something done with your house? How can I make your life easier right now when this is one of the most challenging things you'll ever go through? And so showing the value up front, and then it's always for me also two-part listing appointment. I never talk about price or comps before the first one. I want to see the house. So the second one is where we formulate a marketing plan. I have a staging company within my business, so that's a big value add for clients. Looking back, I'm glad I started that 3 years ago when you didn't have to stage a house to sell it. They were just flying like hotcakes, but I built this reputation of how my listings look. And I get agents now going, I'm so glad I get to show your listing. I know it'll look dialed. It'll be an easy sell. So I've built this reputation around that within the Portland area. And now when you can't just put a house on the market for whatever price you want and sell it, people realize that and they know they need to do more to their house to sell it. So the staging piece really was kind of a perfect timing from when I started that to now.
Well, so the agents that you're working with, are they mainly buyer's agents for you, or are they also going out and getting listings?
It's everything. So I've never been, and my style isn't to have a buyer's agent, a listing agent. Like, I want people to not be limited with what they do business wise. And so, and we're very collaborative. Like for my personal listings, I always have a co-list, someone on my team to help me. So, and then with them, if an agent on my team brings in a listing, they're the co-list and I'm the main list on it. So I feel like people get this feeling of like being really supported with multiple people within my company at once. I have Melinda who's interacting with them for TC and client care, the co-list. I have a listing coordinator who helps with my staging. So it's a very supportive feeling for every client.
And when you're working with these agents, so obviously they're going to have a very different, I shouldn't say very different, they're going to have a different style than you do. Maybe they're going to be prospecting differently. And also if you're co-listing, they might have a certain type of relationship that's a little bit different than yours. How do you deal with the ebb and flow? How do you work the differences?
I haven't really I haven't really run into a lot of like differences, because I think for me, I've really aligned with people who want to do business how I do it. Like, I've been really intentional with the people I bring on as independent agents and also onto my team, especially. Like, I don't want to feel like there's not that alignment when I walk into an appointment, or like I'm not supporting my team member. So, they've got to be really intentional with how they want to build their business too. And that's by referral.
Right.
A lead gen system is not, I'm going to be frustrated, and so is the buyer or seller, because we're not going to see each other's value, I don't think, or they won't see mine for sure, at least, because they don't know who I am. So
Spencer has a therapy dog, Eddie, and I know chickens are very important to you. Tell us about your therapy chickens.
It's an ongoing thing. I don't have them yet, but I grew up in the Santa Cruz Mountains, in Scotts Valley, but my grandparents in Santa Cruz, and I have so many fond memories of going to their acreage and feeding chickens as a kid. And so they've always had a special place in my heart. Same grandparents who own the sporting goods chain. So I think as an adult, I've always wanted chickens. I am impulsive by nature. And so when we bought and sold in 2020 in the middle of a pandemic, we wanted acreage where we were in just a regular neighborhood. The HOA stated no chickens, but I was like, I'm going to change their minds. Like, don't worry about it. I got this. Like, I'll just deal with it later. And this is the third year of my annual HOA meeting. There's 12 homes in this community. We all have 2 acres, so I don't know why it is what it is, of trying to get chickens allowed. It's not going to pass because there's 4 original owners who feel very differently about chickens. So with that being said, I have gone to the extent of talking to my attorney about my options, because where there's a will, there's a way. And therapy chickens,
there's a way.
Yeah,
yep.
Therapy chickens are a thing. You can have therapy dogs, therapy cats, therapy squirrels, whatever I'm going to have therapy chickens.
Yes, so I love it.
I
love the determination and the, you know what? I'm going to figure it out. There's no mountain too small.
Yeah, I'm going to come and visit and get some therapy eggs. Man, whenever I have friends that have chicken, they become my best friend. You know what? They could owe me money. I don't care. You have chickens. I'm getting eggs from you.
Yeah. My neighbors had their chance to help write the bylaws to have chickens, but they decided not to. So I'm just going to do it.
I love it. I love the spirit. So you said at the beginning of the podcast, this is the year of saying yes. Mm-hmm. What is left? You've got 5 months left in the year. What is on that list to say yes to that you haven't yet?
Oh, I don't know. I feel so like fortunate to be where I am right now. I mean, I'm speaking at Inman in 2 weeks with you. Like, I feel like things are just kind of like falling into place for me that like bring joy to me and bring excitement. So I have some more trips. I'm seeing Taylor Swift before Vegas in LA.
There we go.
Yep. Super excited for that. We have floor tickets. I think I'm just trying to like live my life with like a little more flexibility and not so like rigid's the wrong word, but I just want to be open to whatever comes my way.
I think that's a huge mind shift, right? And I think that ties into your whole personal journey also, is really, rather than being bogged down by, being burnt out and stress and anything like, where's the next check coming from? How do I accomplish this? But just being open and saying, you know what, universe, put me where you want me. I'm open to whatever's going to come my way. And I'm curious to hear your take on what it took to get there, to let go.
Oh, gosh. A lot of life experiences. I think everything I've gone through has led me to this point of where I'm at. I mean, at 15, I was sent to a treatment center for girls for 20 months for depression in Utah. Like, I have had a lot of big life experiences that help shape how open I am, like how heart-led I am, and how resilient I am. When I hit that rock bottom burnout 3 years in, my husband was a cop for 10 years, and he, at that point in time, had left the department after 10 years in to be stay-at-home dad and help build the business. And that was a lot of pressure for me, because I was bringing in the income, and I had to replace not only what I was making prior I got into real estate, but also his income. And so it was easy to feel like it was crumbling on top of me. But I think going back to what I know worked for me in the past, which was therapy. I mean, I've been in therapy off and on my whole life, big believer in it. And now I have a coach, which I think has helped me kind of level up, because I leave every session feeling excited rather than feeling like I just got kicked in the pants because I talked about the past. I'm talking about the future. So sorry, my dog is moving this stand down there. She's at my feet. So I think for me, just trusting my coach. I mean, I knew her from Burn Cycle, which is a community I've been part of for a long time. It's a spin studio in Portland. She was a teacher there for years. And so I think just trusting it and trusting myself and the vision I had and just talking through things. I'm a big verbal processor, really has been instrumental.
Now, that's an amazing journey, right? And you said you lost 60 pounds. Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Are there any things that happen where you say to yourself, like, do you ever wake up or in the middle of the day, you're like, I just can't? Does that ever happen?
Oh, yeah. Yesterday.
So what do you do? I mean, what's your thing to get past that?
I cry. There's a lot of tears. That's how I process emotions. In the past, I would have I would have talked to my team about it and kind of maybe unfortunately put some of that weight on them that I feel. And so I've had to learn who to go to. But just the other day, like, it's a simple text my husband saying, I'm having a really hard day. And he will call me and we will talk through it on the phone, and he will, you said to have tissues and here we are. I think this is so fresh for me, because building a business is not for the faint of heart, especially in a down market. We're down 20% right now. I feel fortunate we're not down 50 like most people. But for someone who feels like they're only as good as their last year, that's tough. I have a hard time looking at all of the growth, not just the volume. But I think having someone like Christian to really be level-headed and go, it's okay to feel this way. Like, you're doing hard shit. Like, if it were easy, everybody would do it. Like, he says that all the time. And that really resonates, because I'm like, okay, like, I can do this, like, one step at a time, like one rain at a time.
I think there's some national statistic, Spencer, you probably know better than I do, but about 80% of licensees or people who get into the real estate industry end up leaving by year 2. Does that seem about accurate? It's massively high.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Real estate takes grit. People think it's a sexy industry, and the sexy part is this much of it.
I think the sexy part is doing broker compliance personally, but that's, I'm biased.
Yeah. Hey, that's how we nerd out. I love it. But what's funny is Jessie Dooley at Burn Cycle said something that has resonated with me too, which is be a houseplant. Mm-hmm. You know, if you're not feeling good and you're not thriving where you are now, pick yourself up and move. Do something else. Not move states or anything, but like change your environment, change something. If you're stagnant in whatever you're doing or feeling burnt out or frustrated, you don't just sit there and wallow in it. You got to take the bull by the horns and do something new. So I think that's a huge one.
Yeah, for sure.
What is the hardest thing that you have experienced in creating your own company that maybe you didn't think was going to be so difficult?
The people management. For someone who is a self-proclaimed people pleaser and feeler, like that, there's been a lot of growth in that area for me. Really having taking the reins and trusting my intuition and putting my foot down, hire slow, fire fast. I had to let go of my marketing coordinator because it just wasn't working out, but it showed me where the holes were in the business, and we filled those holes as we saw fit. Like, I think, that would have crushed me to do that 2 years ago because I would have felt so awful. But I'm like, you know what? I can't have the business or my own family suffer at the expense of trying to keep somebody on board who's not working out. So I think just coming into kind of my own leader within, and trusting my instinct and my gut has been instrumental.
Where do you find your inspiration, or what fills your cup? How do you recharge?
Trips, like physically being gone. We try to do something once a quarter where we get on a plane and go somewhere. For me, if I'm not physically away from the business, I don't shut it out. So that's a big piece. Christian and I have date nights on a regular basis, just getting away without the kids, like reconnecting. I read a lot. I read every night to go to bed. Like, I probably read 1 or 2 books a week.
What's on your nightstand?
I have a Kindle, and a lot of my books are like thriller, Who Murdered Who, or romance. Yeah, I have some self-help stuff like intertwined in that, but
that's so funny because I'd be curious to hear if Christian reads books too, because that is the let's not call it battle, but differentiating factor between my husband. All of his audiobooks and things that he listens to and reads are all like personal growth and development, and mine are murder mysteries.
Yeah.
Is Christian, is he a business partner with you, or are there clear delineations of what you two do in the business?
No, he's a business partner. I mean, he likes to refer to it as my business, but I refer to it as our business. We've been together for 20 years now, married for almost 17. Like, we have one bank account. Like, everything to me has always felt like ours. So, depends on who you ask, I guess.
To get some tidbits from you, what, if any, podcasts, self-help, personal growth, books, stories, people, who do you listen to, or what have you read lately that you can share?
I love the book Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. That's like a favorite. I give that to everybody who comes to the company with their little welcome kit. A lot of the stuff I read is like not self-help. It's so I can shut my brain off, and self-help does the opposite. As far as
That's
podcasts,
fair.
Yeah, as far as podcasts go, I love Glenda Baker is someone I really have a lot of respect and admiration for the industry. She has her Glitter and Gay podcast. I listen to that. I follow her on Instagram too. I like The Armchair Experts, I think is what it's called. Is that what it's called? Where he's interviewing celebrities. There's a few that I honestly though, like, it's usually country music that I'm listening to in the car. It's like the same songs over and over again.
You and me both.
That's a perfectly fair answer. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, because you can't, if you're doing business 24/7, if you're only listening to a podcast about how to increase your business or management. Oh, wow. I don't know if you hear the thunder back there. I don't know if you're hearing that on the mic here. It's a nice thunderstorm starting. But, you know, if that's all that you're hearing, you have no life, right? I mean, you got to get away. You got to disconnect. Especially, it seems like for you, you're so emotionally involved, and yet look at that success you're having. That's amazing.
Well, and I think the hard part for me too that I have kind of lately been thinking about is like I am on all day, like interacting with people, like communicating. So when I'm in my car and by myself, like I don't want to be on. I want to be like off, which is like listening to music or in silence. When I get home, I've really had to learn to not be reclusive when I get home at the end of the day because I'm exhausted from interaction. Like I need to be able to be present for my kids and my husband. And so it's real estate is a very taxing, emotionally taxing industry to be in because you're always, at least I feel like I'm always giving myself and not getting a lot back from people during the day.
You have a lot of fun doing what you're doing, and we could go on for hours and talking, but I'd love to just hit on one piece of what you created and what you're starting, which is Between Two Figs.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that and tell us where to find it?
Yeah, so it's on my YouTube page, Hustle and Heart Homes, but also on Instagram, Hustle and Heart Homes for Instagram. It was really just kind of a fun, like brainstorming thing that my team and I came up with, where we wanted to do something that would be interactive for people and people could kind of relate to and be engaged with. That was funny, and also get to know us at the same time. So Between Two Ferns, we do figs because the show is Between Two Ferns with Zach Galifianakis. And it kind of feeds into like our staging that we do a little bit, but it's fun. We have the culture that I've created is really amazing. I mean, we all love each other. We really care about each other. And so being able to kind of sit next to each other and make fun of each other and share that with everybody has been fun. We've got a lot of great responses from it. So that'll be like an ongoing, probably monthly, we'll release an episode of it.
Yeah, I just subscribed, so there you go. There's
thanks.
Yeah.
I had to laugh. I think I've watched the episode with Michael, I don't know, countless times, just when I need a laugh. When I'm in a space, honestly, and laughing, gets endorphins and you just it puts you in a better mood, right? I don't think I've not laughed every time I've watched it. But Emily, you're awesome. I thank you very much for sharing your story and being very forthcoming and honest with us. I appreciate it very much.
Yeah, thank you for having me.